Hi guys, so the Tories and their friends in the media have found another issue to use in order to drive a wedge in society: access to social housing. So news that will no doubt upset people who don't understand how social housing is allocated and just hate foreigners. Angela Rayner is planning to remove a restriction the Tories had put in place to block migrants from accessing social housing. At the moment, the government has to rely on private landlords and hotels, which are of course compensated by the state. GB News and their guest from The Spectator aren't happy.
Also, I think it's interesting to read the story in the Sunday Telegraph suggesting that Angela Rayner, the Deputy Prime Minister, wants to lift restrictions on social housing for migrants. So just to explain this, the Tories had suggested that the priority for social housing should go to people with British citizenship and that migrants should basically be put further down the list. Yeah. Now Rayner is saying that that should be reversed. But isn't it those sorts of policies that create some of this division in communities?
I'd say so, certainly. I think this was about a change the government planning to introduce. Michael Gove introduced this idea in January of a UK connection test. So either, as you say, a British citizen or someone who'd been here for at least 10 years. And then this was obviously going to be address the unfairness that someone arrives here shouldn't be able to claim housing straight away. And yet, within a couple of weeks coming to office, Angela Rayner, who now is in charge of that local government department, has decided to lift that cap. And looking at the response in the paper, which the department has given to the paper, the Sunday Telegraph, it only says that, 90% of housing does go to people who've been here 10 years or more, or British residents. I think, well, that doesn't address the fundamental unfairness, which is that people feel as though there's one rule for them and one rule for someone else.
That people feel. We keep coming back to this point. Feelings are more important than facts. He even pointed it out here that 90% of social housing goes to British citizens. We're talking about a very small percentage. Now, these are the same people who will complain that there are migrants in hotels and that it's costing £6 or £7 million a day. So what the government is trying to do is move people out of hotels and into social housing, for example. So it's cheaper, much cheaper, to put somebody in social housing than keep them in a hotel. But the response from the right wing is, how dare you put these people into social housing? There are so many British people who can't access social housing.
So I think that these are the kind of things that do feed those grievances. I'm interested in the Sunday Times. There's a line that says that Morgan McSweeney, who of course is the great political thinker, the strategist, the Dominic Cummings behind Keir Starmer.
We're going to get onto him in a minute. His tensions with Sue Gray. But
absolutely, yes. I mean, there's a line that he wants to be tough on populism and tough on the causes of populism. And there's a borrow from the Blair line.
I don't get this whole criticism of populism. I mean, the thing about populism is it is quite popular with the electorate.
Yes.
You know, things like social housing for people with British citizenship ahead of those who may have arrived here by dubious means. I mean, it's a pretty successful policy for whoever tables it. What surprises me about Angela Rayner is if there's anyone in that cabinet that could stand up for the so-called left behinds. Again, this is not a justification of any of the violence that's taken place. But if we have people who are white working class who feel that they are left behind, ignored, forgotten and not heard, who better in that cabinet than Angela Rayner to appeal to them? And yet she's been silent on all this.
Absolutely.
We keep coming back again. This is the second time. People feel. Why are we listening to people's feelings and not listening to the actual facts on the ground? See, what they're trying to do here is, once again, whip up anger. Look at all these asylum seekers and immigrants getting access to social housing. We're talking about a very small percentage. But this is a solution to a problem people like her supported. You know, you can't turn around now and say, well, it's a problem moving people out of hotels. Like, where are they supposed to go? If you send them into the private sector, then this is going to, of course, limit people's access to the private sector rental market. This is going to drive up rents. So you're going to complain about that. You don't want them staying in hotels because that's expensive. So where else can they go? The cheapest option probably is social housing. But once again, we're talking about a small percentage of the population. Notice here that they kept saying, people feel that they're being, somebody else is being prioritized. Look, when it comes to social housing, every case will be looked at on its own particular basis. So the merits of each case will be looked at. Does this family have children? They will be prioritized. Is it a single person on their own? They will be put down the list. This is how it should be. Social housing is limited. But if you're upset about asylum seekers in hotels, if you're upset about asylum seekers in private homes, private rental properties, then surely you should be welcoming the idea of moving them into social housing. But of course, no. Every move will be criticised by the Tories and their friends in the media. And here it is once again. But the worst part of it is they're trying to tap into people's feelings. The feeling that immigrants are being prioritised. The feeling that somebody can just arrive on a boat and be given a house or whatever straight away. It doesn't work like this. That's not the reality. It's a feeling that people get, but we have to ask the question after that is, where did they get these feelings from? Could it be the likes of GB News and right-wing media? Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.